It's Tes Adar, and we're standing between two Parshas that are the same Parsha. We did Kisisa, and next week we're doing again because as Parsha Shkola. So I'll get a text this week, which is mamish between these two Parshas, and a lady asks like this: Rabbi, my class say Tehillim in Zechus of kids shidduchim. Can I count how many shidduchim happened already? Is there a problem counting people?
Careful, I have careful.
Yeah, so she's asking if she can count how many, because l'choida, you're not allowed to count Yidden, because we know it from this Parsha, from Shkolim. Kesisa seroish b'nei Yisrael of Kudeim, v'lo yeh b'em negev b'fkoidoisam. That if you count the Yidden, there could be a negev from it. So that's the question. Could you count how many shidduchim were already made? There is Rashi. The first Rashi says that there was a story in the Tanakh where the Eden were counted. It was a very, very sad story in the days of David the Melech. And this morning we're talking about Tanakh. It's the last. Yeah, sure. The last Perek in Shmuel is all about the story that David the Melech counted the Eden, and there was a huge mistake. It says. They were counted, and it ended up there, but whatever, there was 800,000 soldiers in the whole Yehuda, and Yehuda alone was 500,000. And in other words, a lot of Jews back then. You think about this. Before the first Beis Hamikdash was built, the people that are between 20 and 60 is 1,300,000. Not bad. It was a lot of male. But this is a huge number. Anyway, it was a big mistake that he did. God, the Navi comes, tells him that he's going to be punished for it, and he should choose one of three punishments. The comes a famous pasuk: "Vayomer David el God tzar le'moed niplo la b'yad Hashem ki rabem rachamav b'yad Adam al hapoilo." And the Eibishter said that that's what's going to happen. That there's going to be a daven. 77,000 Jews died, Rachman al-Islam, that day, and the Malach which was killing came already to Yerushalayim, and the Eibishter had Rachmanos, and God told the Navi God told the Malach to quickly make a mizbeach, and that's when he goes and he builds a mizbeach in the place of the Beis Hamikdash. He buys the harabayas from Arvana Yevusi, and he buys also all his livestock to shecht as a korban. Arvana offers it free of charge. He says, no. This is the place for God's house. I'm going to buy it Bekesef Moli, just like with Ephraim. I'm going to buy it Bekesef Moli. We don't want to have later the Arabs coming and saying that the Jews are stealing it or something. I want to pay top dollar for this piece of land. And that's how we finish off the story in Shmuel Beis. It's the last page of Shmuel Beis. So today's Yom Yom is about learning Tanakh, so we learned some Tanakh.
But isn't the whole, by Midbar, the whole thing is numbers, no? It's the whole...
Right.
It's census.
See, that's why the Torah says it has to be through Shkolim. You have to count them through Shkolim. So the old Mefarshim asked, so why? David the Melech didn't count through Shkolim. So they say the Medrash Tanchuma says that if you count them L'tzoydach, it's fine. Shaloi L'tzoydach, then there's not fine. So they say even if you count through something else, it has to be L'tzoydach, that there's a need for it. But if it's Shaloi L'tzoydach, you're not allowed to count.
Why can't we say Tzivah Hashem?
Huh?
Why can't we say Hashem told them to count?
David the Melech?
No,
that's a tzorech, right? Here there's a tzorech, and even with the tzorech, you have to count through with a shekel.
But who can without tzorech? You have to count.
David the Melech didn't count for any tzorech. It says that he just was willing to know. He says, "Vayomer Melech Yoyev, shutna b'chol shifti Yisrael, v'piktu asam, v'yadaiti es misparom." I just been curious to know how many Jews are there. And Yoav was nervous about it. He said, Yosef Hashem Alekecha la'am kahena v'kahena mea pa'amim ve'eni amelech royes v'adoin amelech lo mechafetz b'davar hazeh. He was begging practically David the Melech, please don't do a national census. We don't need to know how many Jews are. We don't want to count Jews.
The purpose of the kings usually do a census to figure out how bad the country is, how many men there are, and how much tax they can raise.
Nope. That was not considered enough a need. Where did we find that there was a need and it was legit? It was by Shol. Shol, when they were going to kill the Amalek, by Yesham Shol, the Sa'am, by Yifkedem Batloim, he counted them. He gave, the Gemara says, we see how rich Shol was. He gave every Jew a gift, a tleh, a sheep, and then they counted the sheep, and there was, so there were 210,000 soldiers.
That was allowed?
And that was allowed. And that's how we learn how you're supposed to count the sheep.
Count the sheep.
They counted the sheep. So he gave every Jew that was coming to the army a sheep as a gift, and then they counted the sheep, and they had 210,000 sheep.
They have so many sheep.
So we could do the same thing with like a coin.
Right.
Because we got a quarter and then
Yeah.
the quarters.
So,
Sheep went to slaughter, and they went to slaughter the goy.
yeah, that's right.
Be any kind of marker.
Anything. The minig is people sometimes you count, not one, not two, not three, not four. But now you can't count Jews. Jews are always united. United we stand. Yidden are ba'achtas. When ba'achtas there's no negative. When we start counting individual Yidden...
Achtus like me.
Huh?
Achtus like me.
Negative? Why does it have to be negative?
If there's Achtus, it's negative.
What's the counting that Lashon Chiv state, the Eibush counted the Yidden.
Right. But that's when the Eibush counts. We're not allowed to count. But the Meforshim say that even if you're counting through the Taloyim or through something else, it has to be for a tzorah.
Can you do it in your head? Not enough articulating it, just thinking it?
Yeah, I guess. I can't imagine.
Million in your head.
Yeah, can't imagine.
Why
That's
does it
a
make
problem.
any difference if you say a Shia Samacha?
Oh, so we're going to get to Zeb has unbelievable history about the Shia Samach.
It's like walking into a shul. You're not allowed to make a shul a shortcut.
Yeah.
But if you say a pasuk, it's good. Why?
Right.
What's the difference? Because you
Because
came to learn.
Yeah.
So you're not counting. You're counting.
Same number of words.
You have to see, there's a Kiddush in the Rebbe and Toshim and Gimel, unbelievable.
Very well.
What?
What the Pasuk is said?
Mashiach Mecha.
No. When you...
Let's look in the Gemara. Zok the Gemara that the Mishnah says in the base of Mikdash they would make a count. And they wanted to have a girdle. Who is going to go get the avodah of the special avodas in the base of Mikdash? There were 4 raffles. So they would go out and they'd put out, say they would stand in a circle. It could be 2,000 kohanim. And then the person that was in charge of the raffle would say a number. And then he would pick someone to take off his hat, and he would start the number from there. And the kohen would put out the fingers. And they would count the fingers, and they'd go around and say that he'd pick a number 5,013. And whoever was the last one, he won. And then if it was like the Korban Tamid, it was him and 13 people behind him all won. He would check, and the next were all... By the way, if you were a kohen and you stood in that line, you need to be expert shochet, and you have to be able to do all the avodas. You can't stand there and then you win the raffle and say, "Oh, I'm going to go call my friend who's going to go." You got to have. You're ready to pick up the chalif. You got to do everything.
Once you won, you couldn't go again.
October, once you win, you can't go again. Right. So we had a reason. Exactly. Very good. So talking about Amun and Alman's Biyu, Tona Hoytzets by Seichem, Elaminion, Nim, Neinu, Lidu. Why don't you count them? Count their fingers. Also the man is also to count even. I feel it var mitzvah. Even if it's for the man mitzvah. See, it says in the Pasuk, that the Shul wanted to count how many soldiers there are to go against the Amalek, and he counted with the Tloim. Any that's counting the Yidden is over a lot. You're not allowed to count the Yidden. It's all the Meforshim ask the Mari Perlot, all the big, like, why don't we bring the Pasuk in Parshas Kisisa? Kisisa is Rosh B'nai Yisrael of Kudem, V'nosno Ish Kaifer Nafshik. It's a Perla. Why don't the Gemara bring our Parsha?
What does that prove?
That when you count the Yidden, you have to do it through something else. That's what the Pasuk says. You have to, when V'nosno Ish Kaifer V'lo Yibem Negev, that there shouldn't be a Negev by the Yidden. Like Rashi says, and David HaMelech made a mistake and he counted, it was a terrible Negev. So when you count the Yid, you have to do it through something else. That's what they did in the base of Mikdash.
That's Raya Brura?
Yeah, why isn't that an ayah? It's an ayah. The Marsov
It doesn't
says...
say that it shouldn't count, it just says...
It says the only way to count is through giving a koifer nafshik. Otherwise there'll be a negative. Kisisa Serosh B'nai Yisrael, V'nos Nu'ish koifer nafshik, Bifkoides of Aloya Bem Negev. And Rashi says that if Chas v'Shalom you would ever count a Jew and you're not going to count it through a Davar Acher, there will be a Negev, like it happened the day of David the Melech. So the Meforshim asks, why couldn't the Gemara bring this Befedish Pasuk? The Marsov says, because over here the Yidden anyway have to give a shekel because they needed to part the Adonim and they need to be Machaper for the Egel. But the other Psukim are clear that even, it doesn't matter what, when and where, you're not allowed to count the Jew. Over here you could say because there were circumstances. That's what the Marsov says. So the Rambam says, in Hilchot Tzmidim Musafin, that was last week in the Rambam, Ketzad Mefisim, how do you count the Kohanim and do the raffle, the pious, and the Beis HaMikdash, and the Veyakheil, they stand in a big circle, like a skim and alminyan, Shemoyne Meir, so Yalub say, they say a number 1,000. Or call minyan sheskim olav, Amuna Emer Lamatz Biyu. The Hema Tzina is saying they take out their fingers, Achas Shtein, they tziv Sholish, Meinu Lo Sholish, they can even take out 3 fingers like this. The Hema Tzim Goydel B'Mikdash, you can't put out this finger. If they, Haramoish, a Goydel Kotzer, V'noyach Le'atzio L'Kvoitze, V'amoitze Goydel L'Moinina, I say Loi. Because this one you could go like this, you can play games. And as you see the numbers coming up to you, and you see you want it, you should be the guy, and we want more number. So with I also have this finger out. You see, I'm the one that won it. So they don't count the Goydel. They pick a number. Say there's a 1,000 coin. No, it doesn't matter. They pick 1,800.
Okay.
And then they start count, but the guys have to put out the fingers. And they say there is 500 kohanim standing around.
Okay.
And he tells them, okay, put out your fingers. And then they put out the fingers, one, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, and he has a number, and he starts counting. Whenever he said a number 1,800. Whoever ends up being,
well, it can take an hour and a half.
it could take time. Yeah, they did it early in the morning before Alois Hashacha.
Was it up here of Kodesh?
No.
So 770 given to that every day?
Could be. But if they did every day 770, it would be some coin that would know where to stop.
But they wouldn't usually be set up in the same spot.
Right. And also, you never know how many fingers other coin will put out.
Yeah, some will put out 0.
By the way, every Monday, there used to be a day by the 70s, which you give the film, which you get the film,
like this, the son can get it.
Right.
I won one.
Yeah, you got that film?
I did when somebody else only gave it to me. I put a film out there, I read the film.
But you didn't get the film?
I got the film afterwards. Of course.
Oh, you still have the film?
I got the film, yeah.
But what's that rabbit?
What?
What's that?
It's a Rishon. This is a Pearson Rishon.
Who picked the number?
Pearson Rishon.
The number?
The Memuna, the person who's in charge. It was a Memuna. It was a person who's in charge in the
Got
basic.
married.
Yeah.
Somebody
She has it.
How do they avoid somebody
He even says which kapitach that ever said
They
that
wouldn't
day.
count. This finger they wouldn't count. No matter if you pick it out or not. They could, only one of the 4 fingers you could put out. 1, 2.
One hand only?
It sounds that way.
Sure your father
It
has
sounds
it.
that way. That's what it sounds.
Stand in a circle. Yeah, now I'm just trying to visualize the whole thing.
Yeah. They weren't into the American system of how to do lottery with blowing balls and things.
Rock, paper, scissors, huh?
I felt better right into that later.
Let's continue. You go around, you keep on counting the fingers. Whoever his finger was the last at the counting, I mean they counted the numbers, and then when they got to the final number, it's him. He's zoichet. Why couldn't they just say, pick a number and count the people, go around and around until you get to the last man? You're not allowed to count Jews, only through something else. It says in the pasuk, he counted them through the tloim, through the sheep. So the Sheilos is why is it the Pashtup Pshat is that it worked in the Beis HaMikdash is because they didn't know how many kohanim even were here. Some kohanim put out 1 finger, some 2, some 3. So you're not mamish counting. You're not counting. You're not counting. That's one way you could learn it.
Why aren't you counting?
Because you're not counting people, you're counting fingers. It's mamish.
Right.
Some people, like at the end of you know how many kohanim are standing in the circle? You don't, because because some kohanim put out 1 finger and some 2 and some 3. So if you know at the end that that the circle went around only once, for example. So it doesn't tell you, and the number was 500. It doesn't tell you it's 500 kohanim there. Maybe there was maybe some kohanim put out 2 fingers and some put out 3 fingers. You don't.
Are you allowed to put out no fingers?
Yeah, it seems like that way. But if they have no fingers out, he's never going to win.
Let's say he got chosen the day before, so he wants to give it to his son or something.
So why stand in line?
Then he shouldn't stand there.
No, because if they're up to 769, he'll put out nothing, his son will get 770.
Put out before.
But you wouldn't know in
But you,
advance.
yeah,
Maybe he would.
you can't. I don't know if you could do such a thing. I don't know. By Torahs, they
No,
would say
he's
you can't be.
acting as a like he goes with his son, stands next to his son. Like maybe it's his Yom Letters or something. He wants to get something to get it. So he puts out nothing. This way, the guy next to him, in front.
But why does that odds?
Because if he would have been next to his son, and someone had his fingers out, it's shy that he'll get chosen.
But he
if
doesn't
no
know which
fingers
number
out,
it's going to be.
no fingers, you won't get chosen.
But he doesn't know which number it's going to be. Maybe he's putting in. He's doing the opposite for his son.
How?
Of course, he.
I think that, oh, you're saying because it might be up to. This guy might have 2 fingers, they were up 667.
Yeah, because they put fingers, you don't play it anymore.
It's not how many Kohen wanted to work in the Beis Hamikdash.
Okay, but I don't know how it works. I'm just saying that it's interesting. The whole thing is interesting because the guy that can't be could be holding chesh with how many kahanim there are.
Yeah, he could be holding ched.
Yeah.
Right. So that could be the other shot is, and I found taket some machlokes meforshim that the other meforshim say no. It's not that because you're counting. Maybe you don't know how many kohanim. Some meforshim say you don't know how many kohanim you have here. Some kohanim put out 1 finger, some 2, and some 3. Other meforshim said no. Even if all the kohanim put out 1 finger, that's not the point. The point is that the pasuk says that the Kisi says Roish b'nei Yisrael v'nos neish koifer legulgalois. If you're counting their head, how many heads you have. If a person, you chop off his head, he can't live. It's not shaykh that a person should live without a head. But a person can live without a finger. So you're not allowed to count people's heads.
Right.
But you could count people's fingers. That's what they say. You can count people's fingers. You didn't count the heads. So if you have 20 people or whatever, people in the room, and you want to count them, but you're not allowed to count Yidden, so instead of counting heads, you could count fingers. So the nafkaminam is, according to the other mefarshim, if you want to count people in the room and you say, could everyone put out a finger? How many people we have for Zimun? And everyone picks up a finger. And you're counting fingers. You're not counting heads. You're counting fingers. No problem. The other mefarshim say, no. You can't. If you don't mind that people put out, you're going to count fingers. Some people put out 1, 2, some 3, but then you don't know how many people you have for a Zimun. No problem.
Wow.
According to the other mefarshim, and I think that's really the more stable. That's the halacha. And look at the Alter Rebbe, you'll see.
Wow.
That I think that's the halacha. That's really what it is. Look at the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch.
They only count 1 finger, even if they have 3, right? Even
Well,
they hold out
if
3.
you want to know, if you
said
have
put out
10 people or 7 people for a zimun, right? So you're not going to count the other fingers. You're counting. So obviously, you're counting people, right?
Right.
But these
matter.
mefarshim said it doesn't matter as long as you're not counting the head. If you're counting the finger, it's mutter. That's what they hold, and I think that the Alter Rebbe will agree with that.
Why don't they just do it like we do it Monty Shabbos? Everyone writes in his number and they do it go all that way.
Yeah, but what are you doing by Shalosh Shudas when you want to know if you have, if you can make a lekenu or not a lekenu?
The Kahanim have a pocket. The Kahanim have a pocket, and they with numbers, and they're always giving it out. It saves so much time.
Yeah, but this has
They all have
to.
to line up, and they have to go.
Yeah, so
count.
you're in charge. Next time, Bet HaMikdash should be in charge.
Maybe they'll have
Good
an
idea.
idea.
Fine,
We'll bring it up to the board.
I'm not telling you. Monty Shabbos, a machaya. The shul doesn't have to record. All the kids have to do the work. Here, we're making the Kayan do all the work and go counting all the Kayanim. We're saying it's like everyone has to line up. This way they can all keep doing what they're doing. They can keep learning. No bit of Torah, no bit of avodah.
Okay, the children are so excited to work. They're all standing in line. They
Right.
can't wait to get together.
It could be like
So
you
there's something
said,
Kabbalistic about the counting of the fingers.
or maybe not only kabbalistic. It
Standing
makes a lot of
in line, standing in
excitement. It makes a lot of trait.
What's that?
If you're sitting in your bed and you're sleeping, then you get a beep. Oh, you just won the girdle. Oh, you jump out, you take off your pajamas.
But if you're in the Beis Hamikdash,
Also, they say today, if you want to talk about comfort food, you say finger food. There was a certain comfort that they got out of getting their fingers cooked. It was like a lahavdil, a manicure.
Yeah, but if you're standing in line and you're excited about working, it's much more than if you're, like he said, in pajamas and you get a beat. If you want.
Yeah, but we're still Kohanim wore pajamas.
Maybe this is by a large event. They have someone by a door with a hand counter.
Right.
The hand counter. So that's not
Not a problem.
Not why.
Because again, this is part of this machloik. Some Mepharshim say that as long as you're not counting the head, you're counting the fingers, no problem. Others say no. If you're really counting, you don't care how many people you have. You're just counting. Some people put at 1, some 2, 3. You're counting the fingers.
Any person passes, you give it a click.
You give it a click. You're counting the fingers, but that's what the Alter Rebbe holds. Look in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Yesh Lamed. The Psak Shulchan Aruch, B'Shulchan Aruch has made a zok, and Simcha Kufnum Vav Sift Vav. The Alter Rebbe says like this: Osir Lamanas as Yisrael, you're not allowed to count Jews. Afila Ein Miskaven, even if you have no intention. Rak Lahatel Goydel Alezes Chum Mispar. Even if you don't want to count, you just want to make a Goydel, which is like the Kohanim. Didn't care how many Kohanim you had. Not allowed to count. Afila Ledvar Mitzvah. Even if it's for a mitzvah, you're not allowed to count. Hello, they take out the fingers, you count the fingers. We see from the Alter Rebbe a big chumrah and a big chula. The big chumrah is that even if you don't have intention to count, but if through that, because that's a question the Sfasem asks in the Gemara, what's the Gemara bringing from the Kohanim? The Kohanim, they were not mamash, not counting even. But even in that case, if anything that has shaykhs with counting, you're not allowed to count Jews. But on the other hand, if you're going to do it through the fingers, it's mutter, it's mashma from the Alter Rebbe, even if it's not ledvar mitzvah. If you're going to count without the fingers, it's asur, even if it's ledvar mitzvah. If you're going to do it with the fingers, it's mutter, even if stam azoy. That's why it's mashma from the Alter Rebbe. So the bottom line is, by shidduchim, you're not. It's like counting fingers. You're not counting a shidduch. You're not counting people. You're counting how many shidduchim were made. What is this woman is asking? She said that the class has a chat, and they're all saying Tehillim. It's a woman from the shul. They should help them. The daughter should become a kalam.
Amen.
And they count. She wants to know if she can count up how many shidduchim already happened. Baruch Hashem already 6 shidduchim, 7 shidduchim, 8 shidduchim, 9 shidduchim. So that's like counting fingers. You're not counting a head. You're counting shidduchim.
And also, you're not counting Jews because it's for every shidduch you can't count one. So it's like chetzi shekel, machzis the shekel.
And not only that, every shidduch is a lot of people have a simcha. There's a body, there's a zaydi, and there's not an equal amount. Some family, there's a small mishpocha, and there's 10 people have a simcha now. And some people, the mishpocha, the huge mishpocha, there's 500 people that have a simcha now. You're counting how many, you're not counting people here. But anyway, l'chol days.
They're able to count an event. You count
Right.
how many events there.
How many events, right. They're counting how many chasanas are happening. So, this year in Crown Heights there were that many chasanas. You're not counting people. You're counting simchas. I think l'chol days it's mutter. But anyway, it's interesting. The Rebbe has a chidush nifla, and I was looking for it till I found it last night. It's Toshim Em Gimel. The Rebbe says that the minhag Yisrael is to count. And when you want to have a minyan, that you say, Oishia es, Hamecha, Varech es, Nachlasecha, Urim, Menasem, Adoilim, it's brought in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. The Rebbe has a shaila. Hayatochen, there's Befeidish and Befeidish. Befeidish, Rashi writes in a sefer called Pardes, which is not a very popular sefer, that when you want to know if they have a minyan, you should use this posuk, Ani bereiv chazdecha, Avi v'secha, Shtach v'aleich kotshcha v'yesecha. And it makes sense, because you're counting 10 people for a minyan. Avi v'secha. So how come the minhag changed? In the time of Rashi, they used to say, Vani bereiv chazdecha, Avi v'secha, Shtach v'aleich kotshcha v'yesecha. And now we do a Shia Samecha.
The God's got even more better.
Oh, so the Rebbe says, in the days of Rashi, not so close to the days of Mashiach, and you want to know how many people you have for a minyan. So, Avi Beisach, you're coming in Hashem's house, so they counted with this pasuk that has 10 words. But now that we're close to the days of Mashiach, and then 10 people get together, the Maggid said, and the Alter Rebbe tells the story, that at 10 you can get together, even if they're not talking Divrei Torah. The Shekhinah is so powerful that a malach that would land there would get burnt alive. So Ibazoi, we have 10 Yidden, right away we scream out, Hoshia Samecha, come on, bring the Geula.
Right, and that gives the more of an incentive to bring the center. Because until then you don't have a whole Yeshua.
Right.
10th guy brings the real Yeshua.
Beautiful.
You know what's funny is that Rashi, there's a famous night, the story goes that he went by Rashi before he went to Rahman al-Islam on one of these... yeah, and he stopped by Rashi, and Rashi told him, all the people are going to die, but you're going to be saved. And he told Rashi, if you're lying, or if you're out, you're going to get killed. If not, I'll come back and I'll thank you. Or some, I don't remember the exact logic, but I think wine has it in it. Federal wine has it. You hear this?
He said you're going to be the only one that go through the gate.
Yeah, but so you see that at least Rashi was on talking terms with the Yamach Shemoiniks. Later generation, they didn't ask them their days what's going to happen.
Right. Emes. Days of Rashi, the persecution against Jews.
I mean, they were hard. Yeah, they were hard. No, they weren't good. I mean, I think they burned all shots like in the next door.
Next door, but not in the days of
Not in the
Rashi.
days of Rashi.
Not
They
in
still
the
had
days of Rashi.
they still had hundreds and hundreds of truck bucket, what do they call them? Carriages of
Yeah,
shots.
they didn't bother the Jews
The
then.
French government still maintains the place in France where Rashi's mother went by when she was expecting him, and the wife went by. And the wall
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
And they also have the square where they burnt all of Shas. All the
Yeah,
Shas.
yeah.
They keep that. They make
500
I didn't know that.
Caravans of Shas.
Right.
One of the slum. They still know where
Right.
it happened.
Right. They have a plaque on the
It's
place.
also in Paris.
Somewhere in France.
That's in Paris, and this that you're saying is in Germany. The Avon in Worms.
Oh, there's
The-
in Germany, not in France.
He was born in the city of Worms.
that's
Then
the-
over there they have. If that's the wall or not, but they have it there
Exactly.
for all the tourists to enjoy.
But in Krakow, where you were with that they saw the Novi with the light. That's for sure.
The Krakow, they had the other thing.
Yeah. That's what the goyim say. The story with
No,
the,
but you didn't also say.
yeah, you didn't say it also. Yeah.
It's like it's steht die Schmutz in the Mainz.
This mice is a shuz. I know.
Kein Netz ist Muga.
I know. The Rebbe, by the way, says that that's a pshat in the pasuk in Pekude, Asher Puka Dapi Moshe. That when you count Yidden through a pasuk and Toras Moshe, then it's not a problem. Okay, bottom line, you can count how many shidduchim there is. The Eibush should help, it should be a very high number.
Well, this part now, we're going up to the moon now, so it wouldn't be a problem anymore.
I know, we gotta ask that child. It's a separate good child.
What's not just the moon?
Are you allowed to send Svarim up on the moon?
Lubavitcher was involved.
So
Yeah? Yeah?
shidduchim, yeah, the moon will be tough. I'm gonna make two.
Yeah, let's do it that way. Okay. No, come on. The ikar is there should be a very high number. You shouldn't be able to count it. It should be so high. Ashalo Yisaf Meroiv. They should be more halls, and they should be booked every single night. Second child, someone asked.
Wait, can we get back to the first question? I heard that many times. People say there's X amount of singles in Crown Heights above the age of 30. Are you allowed to say that a number like that?
Yeah, because they're probably
They're not counting.
Yeah, they're just
That's
throwing
okay,
out.
right?
Yeah,
And then they say also, they say how many talesim daven in that mean? There's 50 talesim. They don't want to say 50. Is that how many kapotes and they say talesim?
Yeah, it's mutter. Because it's not, according to this, that you're not counting.
Well, someone
not
must have
counting-
counted, then how else does they know?
Yeah, you're counting kapotes. You're not counting people. You're counting kapotes. Talesim.
So you can so I'm saying like the late Sunday a door can say 1 potato, 2 potatoes until they get to 10 if they count the remaining 2.
Yeah.
On Hanukkah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Make sure they put enough oil.
That's what you wanted to do.
This is like how many families in the community?
Yeah.
How many families in the community? How many families in West America?
Right. So you shouldn't. You should say better how many talesim,
How many
how many
talesim.
kapotes.
How many batis?
Yeah,
Or lollipops John gave out.
Everyone has
then you're not going to get the number. Two, three.
Yeah, exactly.
And you forgot Avi too.
Right. Avi also gives out.
You're gonna get confused.
That's the way they did census. The last in your Sifron, it says the last they wanted to know how many Yidden in Yerushalayim, how many Yidden there are. So the government asked the Kohen Gadol that they should count the Korban Pesach, how many Korbanos there was, and based on that they did a calculation how many. There was a couple of million Jews before. There was a lot of Jews. And the last time they did the Korban Pesach, I think the king was Agrippas. Because we had a shir about this when we had the Hakel shir, one of the Hakel shir, and he counted. There was a cheshbon because there was an average. Say every Korban Pesach had 10 people, so they counted how many Korban Pesach, and that's how they did a census. How many Jews live in Israel? So someone asked a simple question. So the woman had a oirach that came after the meal for dessert. So she served the coffee to the oirach. Okay, so it's after Fleishige Suda, Shabbos lunch, so Suda by day. So okay, but coffee she can put in almond milk, but al pitoah she didn't put in almond milk. She put in regular milk. Okay, so she right away poured out the thing and washed it up and put it aside. She was ask a shayla. After Shabbos, the kids saw it. It got washed up with all the dishes, put back in with the other dishes. Was tut man jetzt?
Well, what kind of clothes was it?
It was China.
Because that can't be
Can't be kosher. So the
But
shayla is
shidduchim, no?
huh?
Gets mixed with everything else.
Who says there's
Milk?
60 cups?
Yeah, there's no 60 cups, and
If there were 60
the
cups.
milk is usually not bottled b'shishim. Because the people don't put that little milk. Usually the milk is 7%.
Right.
Yeah, but not
Have you
160.
signed that it's glazed, the cup? For glass?
Okay, so let's get into this. The ikir is that I want to deal with is a klisheni. There is a concept of a klidishin, a irim klidishin, a klisheni. The Gemara says that the klidishin is mavashal, klisheni ain't a mavashal. Now there's a very important distinction. There's a concept of bishul and mavli or maflet. Lagabi Shabbos, for something to be also Shabbos, it has to go into the category of bishul. It's cool as a chumras, but it has to be bishul. The Gemara said, the Mishnah says that these little fish alach, hadachos and zugmar malachtan, if you just rinse them with warm, these tiny like sardines, you do that. So the din is that there's a concept of kali bishul and Shabbos. There are some things that even in the klisheni, it'll be mevashal. Very few things, but the problem is to figure out what are those things.
Like tea they say.
Maybe, whatever. So that's the shayla.
It's an oatmeal. It's,
I don't want to go into Hilchos Shabbos. So there are things that are called bishul, but most things are not. Most things, a klisheni is not a problem. You'll be hard pressed to find something that's really a problem in a klisheni, especially according to the Alter Rebbe. There's very, very few things that'll be also in the klisheni. The klisheni is fine.
But even when you pour coffee, we said that coffee has to go into a
Klisheni, klisheni, not irui. I'm talking about klisheni now.
It's already.
You already put the
right. Sorry.
Now, when it comes to Isa Beheter, it's very different. The issue is not if you're cooking or not cooking. Who cares if you're cooking, not cooking? No question about cooking. Shiloh is like this. I have here kosher meat, or I have here kosher pot, I have here a kosher cup. So I want to know, did the non-kosher go into the walls of this cup? Did the milk get into the walls of the cup? It doesn't have to be as hot to be bishul. Mavli or maflet, as long as the tam of the non-kosher went out of the non-kosher, went into the kosher, went out of here, and out of the cheese, out of the meat, and into the walls of the pot, that already creates a problem. So I'm just, as a hakdama, so there's the concept of bishul, and there's a concept of mavli or maflet, and they're two things.
which means
Bishul means it's cooked,
okay.
and mavli or maflet means it's pulling the taste out.
Absorbs the taste, or
Maflet, it's taking a taste out of here, or mavliya, it makes it
Go in.
go into the other place. No. So now let's look in the Shulchan Aruch.
What kind of cup were we talking about here?
This cup that we're talking about is a klicheres. So,
It's easier to be mavliya.
which is easier to take in, and it's impossible to kasher.
Right.
So now
I'll
let's.
tell you one question.
Yeah.
When he put in the water, was the water already yatzaleresbo when it went into the cup?
The water was very hot. It was
Very hot.
Very hot.
Right. Now once it gets into that klirishon, the klirishon makes it no longer yatzaleresbo. You can pour it into a klisheni.
Still Yatzalel.
Well, this
No, but-
this case was that they don't know how hot the water was, but they said that their Shabbos thing is a very hot thing,
Oh, very hot.
and they think it was very hot,
Yeah, but
but they don't know exactly.
But if she put it in one cup and then transfer
She didn't do it, no, like
Directly-
transfer. No. She
directly-
never did transfer. That would be a klishlish, it would be the Valdik. No,
Milk
she
doesn't
didn't.
make the water non-yatzaleresbo.
Oh, no, you're touching on a good question. That's what we're going to talk about. Could be the milk made it not Yatzaledzah. But what happened was she took it directly from the Shabbos thing. She put it in the cup. And then, I'm not sure if she already put in the coffee or not, but she put in the milk. Probably she put in the coffee already.
It's better to do that with a cliche and then put it.
But that's what she did.
She didn't do that. She didn't do that.
She's asking a shayla. Now, does she throw out the dishes or not? Okay, so let's look at Shulchan Aruch. Chaim shel klidishin sheyatzer ledes boy mevashel va'oisa kulei. If it's the klidishin and the water is so hot that you would burn your finger, so it's mevashel, A kli rishon, hands down, is mavashel. And even if it's not on the fire, if it's a pot that was on the fire and now it's not on the fire, but it's still, if the liquid is or the solid is, you burn your finger, it's mavashel. But also cooler if it was a heter and nisa get mixed in milk and meat, or treif and kosher, everything becomes also. Aval, obviously the shishim is different. Aval chaim shel klisheni ain't mavashel. However, some say that a klisheni does nothing. It does nothing. It's not maflet, not mavliya. Yeshem mechol makom maflet to mavliya. Voice can they clip it. That it could be maflet to mavliya, and an asas can they clip it. So roy lochish lezor b'davar lechatchila. Then a mop askins that lechatchila should be very careful about this. Avo diovan, if already woven, so in other words lechatchila, you shouldn't put milk and meat together if it's like the heat of a klisheni. But if you already did it, like in this case, mutter b'lo klipa, you don't have to be koiluf. You just have to wash it. So if it was a piece of meat or a piece of cheese, you just wash it. If it's a dish, again, you just wash it.
But this is not this case. This case was the kli rishon it went into.
No, because they took the milk came into a klisheni. They took the hot water, put it into the kapotes.
Right.
Then they put in, say, coffee, and then they put in milk.
It's not al-aish, the fire, the water?
The water was al-aish, and then it was pumped in from there into another tois, which becomes klisheni. That's the klisheni. The pot that's on the fire is the klisheni, and the klicheres is the klisheni. The cup is a klisheni. So now it's a machloikis, and according to Shulchan Aruch, it's mutar.
But it's still what if it's still yatzeledes and klisheni?
It's talking about the yatzeledes.
It's talking about the yatzeledes.
If it was not the yatzeledes,
we see klisheni as a mavashel, right? No,
it's not mavashel, but it's a shaila if it could be mavliya. If it can be mavliya,
right.
And that's the machloikis and Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah Paskin Lakula that it's not mavliya, nothing.
Even though it's yatzeledes.
Even though it's yatzeledes.
So what temperature does it have to be mavliya?
Doesn't matter. It never. But the Shach and Taz argue. That's the problem. The Shach and Taz both argue because they bring a lot of Rishonim, the Rajah, the Tur, the Ramban, that they hold that no, it's not true. They said that klisheni does if it's yatzeledes boy. It at least can they clip us some hold cooler, but it does something. So therefore, they say that really you should be machmir unless there's a hefsid or a hefsid meruba. There's going to be a big financial loss. If there's a big financial loss, then you can be makel. But if there won't be a financial loss, then don't worry about it.
But here we don't know which couple. We don't know which couple it is.
One more thing. Look in the next paragraph. Rebbe Siman Tzadikei. This was a Siman Kufei. Go back 10 Simonim earlier. Because of Taz writes in Sefkot Yud Beis, the klisheni ain't oisa shiuri meichel. Even the kaim alone klisheni afila yatzeledes boy loy mavliya v'loy mafli. The Shulchan Aruch are talking about if you wash milk and meat dishes in the same sink or in the same dish. So the Shulchan Aruch talks about what happens if it's a klidishin, eating a klidishin or klisheni. So Shulchan Aruch talks about it. So the Taz says that even if there is pieces of meat, cheese, and pieces of meat floating, you have a bucket with hot water, and now it's a klisheni, and you put in there dishes, milk, meat, cheese, everything is floating, all floating in the same dish, in the same thing, in the same machmishtois. Again, klisheni ain't oisa shuri meichel. Keeping the kaim along, klisheni afila yatzeledes b'ulay mavliya v'ulay maflit. So the Prima Godim right away asks a question. Hey, wait a minute, the Taz, you forgot what you're going to say 10 simonim later. Prima Godim asks, Prima Godim hiksha, there's a soiser apsak b'siman kufei sherak behefsid meruba yeshlokal. B'tiditz, and he answers, kan lehi folet mizeh olavliya v'zeh shori. That it depends. Hainu shachumru rak sheklisheni yochel avliya oila afli. Aval shalasois shneim loy. That you could, in other words, it has one bullet in the gun. It could do one thing. It could take out the taste from here, or it could put the taste into there. But it can't do two things.
And over here it's only doing one thing.
And over here, he holds that if you have pieces of cheese or meat floating in the water, because the cheese is floating in the water, so you have to. So now the water has to take the tam of the cheese and put it into the fleishig dish. That's considered two moves. You can't do two moves.
Can't do that.
And taka, there are some who have this middle shitta that a klisheni will not do two moves. It'll, if the tam is already in the water, it'll put it into the dish, but it can't take the tam out of the cheese and then put it into the flesh kedis. That's two moves. It's too hard for a klisheni. It's not hard enough to do that much. But if it was milk, he says, it would do it.
But why even if you have two steps over here, once it's mavliya into the dish, if it's toilet out of the dish, what does that do to it?
No, we don't care what's piled out of the dish.
No, I'm saying what's garua about it coming out of the china, out of the cup?
We don't care what's coming out. We're here.
So
We care
so
that
why do
there's
we need
pieces
that?
of cheese and meat floating in the water, and we're saying is the tam of the cheese going into the flesh dishes, and is the tam of the meat going into the milk dishes. So he says that this is too much. The klisheni, if you had milk, he says take, or you had meat broth here. So the heat of the klisheni would be enough to put it into the milk and flesh dishes. If you had milk, but pieces of cheese and meat, that the heat is too weak to do anything.
Because there's no meat in this china, in this cup. There's no meat.
There's milk. There's milk.
Right, but I'm saying there was never any meat. It's classified as fleshik.
Right.
Because you clean it in the fleshik dishes, but
no. This person told me that they use the cup a lot of times to put in fleshik soup.
But even
the woman said that she uses
some
sometimes to put in chicken soup. She puts in chicken soup. So b'meila.
Can you say shvus if there's only the rabban in the chicken?
No, we don't. Yeah, we don't usually use that. That's not a thing that we use with that. Okay. So b'meila.
Then it is doing two.
So it is a problem here because it's milk. So because it's milk, it had it been putting in pieces of cheese, it wouldn't be a problem. But since it's since we're talking about milk, so again let's summarize. A klisheni is a machloikis, definitely not mavashel, but it could do if it could just maflet or just mavliya, then you have to say that it's a problem, unless it's a hefsed meruba. So in this case, I said that for sure it should be mutter for three reasons. Number one, someone just mentioned, when you put in milk, right away the water might become oisiyat zeledesbar, and probably that's the case because no one likes to burn their tongue. Right. So you usually put in enough milk, even if the water is very hot. Usually you put in enough milk that the water is not that hot anymore.
Right, and to the point where the milk's still getting cooked. That's supposed to mashishim. And though sometimes before it becomes ois yat zeledesbar, it is yat zeledesbar.
So that's a question. No. You're saying
because you're saying that normally you put in, let's say 5. And the most you're putting in an ounce into a 10-ounce cup, right. So it's 1 in 10. But the little mashu of milk that will get in this bashu is both the bashishim.
That could be. I also have another svara that over here there's a hefsed. Why is it a hefsed? Even though the china, it was not. I asked, it was a not expensive set, but I think about it today. It's crazy. You go into a store, you go into Amazing Savings and Marshall. If you want to buy paper goods for Shabbos fancy, so a fancy thing is $4.99 or $3.99.
If you 30 pieces.
Yeah. Then if you want to buy a set of real stuff, the cheap one.
Right.
So $19.99 you buy a
100 pieces.
So the paper goods could be more expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
The paper goods are more expensive than Elamai. So why are people buying the paper goods? Because push it. The papers you throw in the garbage. Here,
and it's nice.
Here you got to take the box. First thing you got to take off all the stickers. Then you have to go to the mikveh and toilet. I got urche stam. This is I was toiling a dish the other day.
10 hours of work for $20. It's worth it to buy the plastic.
That's what it's worth. Exactly. I'm toiling dishes the other day. I see a woman come over, and she has a mug. She opens it up. And there's a sticker on it. So she takes off the sticker, a little part of the sticker comes, a little not. She makes the bracha, she puts it in 3 times. 1, 2, 3. The inside of the kois is clean. Not a drop of water goes in. 3 times, so she does it behida godel. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
She didn't have the thing off?
No, she took off the top. She didn't.
Oh, she didn't. And her hand was on it, no.
And her hand was on it. And
Because she didn't want the mikvah work.
no, I don't think she realized. I for sure explained it to her, but then I took off. I was lucky I had it nailed. It was really hard to get that sticker off because once you already have it, it was in water already.
Because it's such a pain.
And I come
They
prepared.
have
I came with
Made in China.
You have to buy your stuff in Williamsburg. They do it all for you.
yeah.
Except for the tefillah, but everything they do.
Wow.
Okay, so that's why I call this hefsid a hefsid. Why is it a hefsid? Because if you're going to tell this person they have to throw these cups in the garbage, they're going to go buy another set. Okay. So now they have to get the stickers off, and they have to drive it there, and they have to toivel it. You have to bring it back home, and you got to. It's a hefsid. It's a hefsid. Time and money. That's a hefsid. Now,
Oh, isn't the milk diluted a little bit also?
so what's the difference? If the milk is nah. And the third thing is that the cup was mixed into other cups, so it could be there's a bittel over there. So 3 reasons here. Number 1, the milk probably made it not yet saledus. Number 2, it is a hefsid, and number 3, it might be bottled. I said it's mutter, but anyway,
24 hours.
Huh?
Is it better
that was after 24 hours already.
Oh,
I got the kasha after 24 hours.
No, he's saying if you know which keli it is, even if you know which keli it is.
If you knew which keli it is, I would say throw it in the garbage. Because, because
It's just one.
because it's one. It's not a hefsid, and it was milk, takazoy, that you only make if there's a hefsid. Unless the person said, I know for sure, by the time I put in the milk, it was not yad saledis. But I'm not sure to rely on that, because I'll tell you why. The person's a Yiddish Shemaim, the woman's a Yiddish Shemaim. As soon as she started pouring the milk, oi!
Yeah, she would put
So
it
I
away
can't.
for work.
When did you say oi? At some point she said oi, and then she stopped pouring the milk. At the point that it was not any more yad saladas before that, I don't know. Obviously, the woman doesn't know either. So if she didn't get mixed up this kois and the other koises, I would say throw that kois in the garbage. Yeah, big deal. Again, if the woman said that it's a very fancy set and it cost a few $100 the set, and now I'm going to lose a cup in the set, and I'm losing all the time, and soon I'm going to have to go buy myself a new set. Okay, if it's a hefset meruba, but if it's a cheap set and it's one kois, I would say throw it in the garbage.
Since you said that these porcelain, there's no way to kosher a porcelain cup, but we're saying that it's boilea and maflit. What's the lotion?
Maflit and boilea.
And boilea. So if it's first boilea and then maflit, so why can't that means that it has the ability to purge itself? No. So why can't you? Why couldn't you put it?
Yeah, but not totally. But not totally.
Parva
Never gets right. But not totally.
Taste.
Sure. But never 100%. A klichedes we say, "Eine yotzem midei le'olam." In other words, there's always things are coming in and out, but never 100%.
Really?
Right. That's what never 100%.
So let's say she uses only some of her cups for chicken soup. She doesn't know which ones.
Right.
This is the one that she never used for chicken soup. Now let her put this aside. This for never ever using it again for fleshings, just for tea.
Yeah, if she
make
do
a
that,
simmon on it, and then there's no problem whatsoever.
I doubt any lady wants to hear such a thing. I doubt any lady wants to hear such.
But at least it's not chaser in her Halacha China closet or something. You know she has this chaser set.
I know, but I doubt any lady would like to hear that. Yeah, if she's willing to take maybe a cup and take a permanent marker and and make
don't never again for chicken soup. All fluids of chicken soup.
I hear. I doubt a woman would go for that. But yeah, the Eitzah works.
You know, koyacha had it on it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lotion.
Because of the teidodif. Yeah. Okay, one more shayla, quick, because we usually do 3 shaylas. There's Beis Menachem Mendel is helping a woman now. Nebuch, she's going. She got divorced, and the guy she thought was from. Turns out he was anything but from, and he's giving her a really hard time now with the child. The child is in yeshiva, and the father would love to get the kid out of yeshiva and put him in public school. And
if not for them, to stech them, to stech her.
Right. And so recently the kid was staying by his father on Shabbos, and he wakes up in the morning and his payas is gone.
Oh,
his payas. His pay is
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's getting worse.
So now she whatever. So we're talking about this. So she wasn't mamish this shaila, but the question is the child didn't ask any question, but naniach the child asked that he wants to get along with his father, but his father doesn't keep Torah mitzvahs, and he doesn't want his kid to keep Torah mitzvahs. So I found an unbelievable thing here. There's a tshuva malamed lahoyel. Reb David Tzvi Hoffman was the last big Rav, not the last, maybe from the last big Rabbonim in Berlin. So he was a Talmud of Maram Shik, the Ksav Soifer. He was one of the last real rabbi doctors. He had a doctorate in philosophy. He learned in the University of Vienna and in Berlin. But he was Take Afrum Yid. He wrote Sheilos and Chuvas, Malamed Lahoyel. He wrote a lot of books in German also against Bible critics. So, and there's a story about him in the Hagdama of Sefer that's unbelievable. But maybe we'll leave it. But just this Shaila, it's interesting. He has a Shaila here like this. A kid that became a Baal Tshuva before the First World War. He passed away in 1921. The Malamed Lahoyel. David Tzvi Hoffman. So the boy told him like this, that the boy came and it said like this, that his father, he said there became a big tension in the house because the kids started keeping Shabbos, and the mother threatened that if he's not going to be machal Shabbos for whatever it is, which got her really upset that she's going to commit suicide. So now he wants to know, was maton? Pikuach nefesh.
No, forget it. If he starts keeping Shabbos, she'll change her mind.
So
it'll be good for her, Michigas.
Right, like Mr. Cooperstein. This is I can't get over it. His mother-in-law told him when he bought the house in this block that if he moves out of Borough Park, he was living upstairs, downstairs with the mother-in-law. She was a survivor. He's also a survivor. If he moves and he buys this house, then she's going to commit suicide. So he went to the Rebbe, asked the Rebbe, Eitz Yechidus. She said, I'm going to jump out the window. So the Rebbe told him, don't worry. So kapotes, this is the same shaila here. So the mother's threatening she's going to commit suicide if the son is not going to be machal a little bit machal Shabbos. Answer is ein zet pikuach nefesh shemachal love Shabbos. This is not shaykh to say that pikuach nefesh is deichel to Shabbos. Immer roitzel ba'azaden la'abed atzma ladas. So let her do it. If she wants to jump, let her jump. The imkein kol ha'masisim yigzemu sheyapilu atzma layamim lo yishmu la'asotim. Every person that wants to be mesis amadich to eat, he's going to say, go do an aved, otherwise I'm going to jump into the ocean. How can you do such a thing? Ayin Sheilos and Chuvas Yehuda Yala Chelek Even Ezer, which was one of the big Hungarian Doli Yisrael, Yehuda Assad. The Ein Lahater Chalutza Lekoyin Av Sheyesh Locha Sheyamiru Dosa. There was a woman that was a Chalutza, and she wanted to marry a Kohen, which is also Al Pi Torah. But the Hungarian Jews, we're talking first before World War, there were already a lot of assimilated Jews. So apparently they came to the Rav and they said, if you be Mekadosh, you do a wedding for us, no problem. Otherwise, we're going to go to the church. I had to do it in the church if he took with us. So you have to convert. Well, we'll convert. We're getting married. That's it. So are you going to be Masad the Kedushin? Otherwise, the Galach is doing it. Di Uda the Galach. So the Yehuda Assad said, okay, let the Galach do it. We don't make deals with the Rebbeinu Shalom. We can't make deals. We can't make business with the Rebbeinu Shalom. We have to keep.
Were they standing up a plot to gay marriages?
I mean, what's the shaila?
There's rabbis that do it there.
In those days, the Galachim wouldn't even do the game. Today, forget about it. Today, there's a rainbow in every cloister.
So back to the shaila. This boy, if there came to it, that there's never an aveda a person could do to appease. Say he'll appease his father and do this Aveda or that Aveda before, in order for his father to allow him to stay in yeshiva. He should stay, Baruch Hashem, the kid's in a good yeshiva, a good school. But you can't say that he should do an Aveda in order to appease his father. You can't make deals with the Rebbeinu Shalom. There's Tayag mitzvahs, and that's all the Rotzen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we can't make deals and say, well, when the Eibishter says it's Bikuach Nefesh, Machal Shabbos, the Eibishter says, but we don't make any deals. Okay.